You should raise your prices, dude. Way more than what I paid for.
Thank you, man.
I feel like him right now. There's like an edit of myself in my head. A lot of the stuff that like we talked about doing, like, it actually got done. I think that's so crazy. Can't imagine like where I'd be without this.
What is up, everyone? I'm here today with my client, Ethan. We've worked together for a bit over 5 months now, and he's been gracious enough to hop on with me today to talk about the experience, the journey working together, and where he was at and where he's at now. So what's good, Ethan? How are you?
What's up? It's good. It's a Saturday morning. I'm happy to be here. It's really been a long journey, but super rewarding and
Awesome,
honestly
man.
kind of fun.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm excited to get into it. So
hmm
why don't we just start with where you were at before you joined the program, like where you were at, how you found me along the timeline, and what that process was like.
Yeah, for sure. So it was around March when I found you. I had a New Year's resolution to quit video games. So, I took down my PC. I deleted the games on my phone, but uh, something was still off. I was still like kind of rotting in my bed, and I thought that maybe if I like stopped playing games, I would do the things that I'd actually want to do and have like more of a sense of direction, like
hmm
games were the only thing that were like holding me back in my head, and then I took away the games and I just felt confused, lost for a while.
What's been your biggest hurdle in solving the video game addiction, that you think the program could help you with? That like what, why you're on the call right now, and also I guess what the struggles have been since you stopped a month ago.
Yeah. The biggest hurdle for me is uh how to leave the loop permanently, uh beyond just video games, right? Like doom scrolling, weed, alcohol, porn, and all that kind of stuff. Like
Mm,
I quit video games, and I've felt so many times to like come back to it, but it's like, yeah, I won't. But at the same time, like I am also just doom scrolling on my bed after coming home from work.
yeah.
And I still can't get out of that. There's so many things that I know I can do, but like I feel so locked up, and I don't know how to empower myself to do those things.
But it wasn't until I was on TikTok one day and I came across one of your videos. It was one that like really hit home.
So
hmm
I was actually doom scrolling the other day, and came across on my TikTok. And to be quite honest, it aligned with a lot of what I was dealing with, because I'm now almost a month clean from gaming, but um, I've been having relationship problems, and I feel like it's
mm
kind of in tandem with, quitting and like, facing reality and stuff. So I think that's like realizing that, watching your video, just made me kind of pushed me to like actually schedule this call.
It was about like repressed anger or like people pleasing with I think no, it wasn't like specifically about like divorce, but it was like a lot. It was in a sense it was a lot more specific than like the average like videos that you like see of like, oh, top 5 signs like you
Yeah.
play video games, it's like you had a hard life. But no,
Yeah.
like yours got into the nitty gritty. It was like, dude, you have repressed anger. You're a people pleaser. Like, wake
Yeah.
up. And I was like,
I know which TikTok you're
yeah.
referring to. I'll probably find it and link it in the description or something. It was
hmm
I believe the hook or the title was something along the lines of why video game addiction comes from childhood trauma or something like that.
Yeah, it's childhood
Yeah.
trauma. Yeah, yeah,
And to your point, it did kind of go into something that I was connecting the dots on, which I have to make a ton more videos on, which is that overlap between people pleasing and repressed anger, especially in dudes, and video game addiction, which I'm sure we're going to get into because that was the brunt of a lot of our work.
yeah,
Um, and to your point, I really like that you mentioned that you thought video games, once you took them away, like nothing would be stopping you, right? But kind of the opposite happened where you removed them, and then you finally like you had to face and reckon with all the stuff that was kind of always there.
hmm
Um, so go ahead. That's really cool though.
Oh yeah. Um, so yeah, I came across the video. It really spoke to me, and I also have this thing in the back of my mind. I always knew, like, I played a lot of video games. Like I've been
Mm-hmm.
playing since I was 3. You know, since I had like fingers, and I think around the beginning of college, so maybe like 4 years ago, I like made this like invisible rule in my head, like I'm gonna get better by myself, like I can do it. But 4 years later, I'm kind of at like the end of my own rope.
So I
I think
guess my last question, which you basically already answered in a myriad of ways, but put simply, why now? Like why get help with this right now versus trying to figure it out on your own for another month or three or push it out? I mean,
Yeah. I realized that this was a problem since 2020 when COVID happened.
hmm
My grades dropped so hard. I was a freshman in college. My second semester, COVID hit 1 point, like 3 point something GPA down to a one. And I was like, okay, I have a problem.
hmm
And between then and now, the past 4 years, uh, I've had this thing in my mind where it's like, I'm gonna figure this out. Like a therapist doesn't get me, like I'm that guy, I'm him. Like I'll figure it out. Like, I'm smart. I can do
hmm
it. And it's been 4 years and I'm so defeated. Like,
I totally feel you.
yeah, like I'm ready. I feel like I'm ready to accept that I can't really do it by myself.
in March when I saw your video, I was like, if I were to look for help, like this would be the guy.
Mm.
Like if I can't do it myself and I have to look out for help, like it would have to be this guy. This guy definitely knows what he's talking about, or can at least point me in the right direction.
Got you. When
Yeah.
what about the content made you feel so strongly about us being a good fit? Was
Mhm.
it the fact that I described the problem so accurately, kind of like you mentioned earlier, or was it other stuff, or all the above? Like what played into that?
It's exactly that, Royer, because my initial, my gripe, or not maybe gripe, or my issue with like therapists or like more standard practices today is
hmm
that it never really like goes in depth from what I've seen. Like it's always just like, oh, like how are you feeling? And like it's like very standard practice, of course,
hmm
which is, how it's just like how it is. But I think not I think I know when like there is wiggle room for me to like um I don't know, maneuver around, just so to speak. Like I
Right,
don't
like go
actually
through the
like doing.
motions of it and
Yeah,
not really
yeah,
do anything.
yeah,
Have you tried
exactly.
stuff like that before? Therapy or other stuff to solve the problem? Or, I mean,
Yeah, I've taken like a couple of like first time appointments with like multiple therapists. It
mhm,
just like just didn't feel right. I know like I could have like kept looking for like one that was like a better fit.
mhm,
However, it's like I also don't really need the services that they were looking for. I just found myself doing it because people always say like, "Oh, have you tried therapy?" But then it's like,
right.
"Oh, tell me your story." And I tell them the story and they're like, "Dude, that sucks." Yeah. Like pat on the shoulder. Like
Okay.
I'm like, "Fuck, no, I need to I want to do something. I need to do
Yeah.
something." But I mean, I've tried psychiatry. I was medicated for I was medicated for my ADHD. I think that helped a little bit, but it was more like a it wasn't like a beneficial thing. It was more like a more like a tool, you know, like if
Right.
I abused it, then of course it's bad, but
And that had been for a while by the time that we started working together, right? You'd been on it since the beginning of college or since high school?
I'd say second year of college. Yeah, second year.
Right. And you
Yeah.
just graduated about a year and a half ago, right? Or
Yeah.
two,
Yeah.
almost 2 years. Okay. So
Yeah.
about 2 to 3 years on Adderall.
Yeah.
We can talk about the effects of that too. We can also talk about what was different about this versus therapy.
Hmm.
Okay. So March, come across my content, really resonates. You're like, man, this guy described the problem, kind of scary accurate. Um, then you reached out. I mean, just take the story from there, I guess.
Oh yeah. Literally just I don't even know what time it was. I just sent that DM and I was like, yo, um, says in your bio to just DM or schedule an appointment, and then you were like, yeah, here's the link, and it was like a Calendly link, I believe, and
Mm-hmm.
I booked it literally the next day, and what followed was like a 30-minute, like 30-minute, what like an introductory one where it's like, oh, like just to see if we're a good fit, and
Mm-hmm.
you like kind of asked like my upbringing, why I'm here, kind of like these same questions like now, and to see, you know, if it was a good fit or not. And you're
Yeah.
ultimately like, oh, like let's do it. Like I think you could benefit. And I was like, yeah, sign me up.
Yeah, you were really like the moment that I told you the investment and everything, you were just like, "Yep, let's do it." No hesitation, which really
Yeah,
kind of like I was like, "Wow, this guy's really serious." And hopefully you don't mind me sharing, but one thing that really stood out for me to me from that call was you used a phrase, something like I feel defeated. Do you remember that? You want to talk
frankly, no,
about?
but I probably did definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, like,
I can talk about it.
yeah, talk about. I mean, I'm curious to hear because you signed up without any hesitation, like in a heartbeat. And I mean, clearly you were like pretty distraught. So what? I mean, you kind of already talked about it a bit, but where were you at that made you like jump in? And were you like worried at all that this was going to be like effective, or what pushed you over the edge? I guess,
Yeah,
especially since I'm just some like random dude you found on TikTok a day prior.
yeah. To what you said, like I really did feel defeated. I felt like my lowest point was in 2016. It was like a year after my divorce, not my divorce, my parents' divorce, and yeah, like I was playing video games like fucking like pretty much from after school in high school after high school to like 6 a.m. and then I'd like wake up an hour later, sleep all day in school, and then repeat the process. Like it was
Yeah,
rock bottom, you know.
yeah,
I was like punching walls and stuff, and like I mean, besides the point, I felt like that again. Interestingly enough, despite having a job, despite having a girlfriend, despite like despite having friends, despite having a social life, you know, like how could I feel that way? How could I feel like I was inching towards rock bottom when the difference in life is like night and day? And at the slow realization that came from it, from quitting video games 3 months prior and still feeling like this now, like I knew like it had to come from beyond just myself. And then there was a breaking point. There was a breaking point that night. That night, I actually had a fight with my girlfriend, and it was like over something that I wanted to be better about, but like couldn't at the time.
So, since I quit video games a month ago, I feel like I've been a lot more clingy with my girlfriend. I feel like inadequate as a boyfriend or as a man to not be able to show up for her. I've been super passive aggressive, pouty. I know it's not
Yeah.
good.
Are you getting signs that like something could be amiss or like things are being damaged by the behavior that you kind of outlined to me?
I think it could get there if I don't do anything about it.
And I was like so aware of these emotions, but I couldn't do anything about them, or it felt like I couldn't do anything about them. Like I tried to suppress it, and it was like super passive aggressive. And then I was aware of the fact that I was being passive aggressive, and like I just went through the ringer like one last time, and I was like, so that night I felt
Yeah.
very bad about like a lot of things
Feeling it on all fronts, like
on all
purpose,
fronts.
relationship,
Yeah,
to your
yeah,
point. And I think this is something that a lot of people sleep on or don't realize, like video game addiction and kind of the dark underbelly of all of the personal stuff that's holding you back beyond video games, or that's driving the addiction in the first place, if we want to call it that addiction, right?
hmm
Um, it doesn't matter if you have on paper like a nice job, a relationship, whatever, you have the home with the white picket fence, like you could still be going through it. You could feel, to your point, which I totally resonate with, feeling like you're approaching rock bottom, and it feels like a familiar feeling that you had at a prior like terrible low in your life, even though everything seems to be going great, and then it can become this like race to the bottom. Um, where it feels like a runaway train and you can't do anything about it. So,
hmm
um, interesting. So, okay, so you join, and then you have the job, you have the girlfriend,
hmm
issues in the relationship. You've been on Adderall for a few years.
hmm
There's some weed usage, right?
Yeah.
Not to put you on the spot, right? But trying to paint a picture here, like,
Yeah, like
and
yeah, sure.
you're still scrolling shorts a lot and like consuming video game content. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I was watching like highlights, so
okay,
I was like living vicariously
yeah.
through the streamers. But
And you mainly played what? League of Legends, yes?
yeah, League of Legends, TFT, CS:GO with friends.
Hmm.
What else did I play? Yeah, oh, Fortnite.
Okay.
Yeah,
So what was it like once we kicked things off? Let's pick up the story from there.
yeah. Uh, from there, the onboarding process happened, and first, actually, wait. Before we move into that, I actually wanted to say there's one last reason that locked me in as well,
Mm.
was that it was during the introductory call where we were still like figuring out if it was good,
Hmm.
and I think what locked me in was probably your story as well, because you actually related to me on like that whole like I had a life but I still felt this way thing. Like you were talking about that, and I was like, wow, like this guy gets it. It wasn't like the blanket, like, oh my God, I'm addicted to video games and like I don't have anything in my life. Like I know that's also a real problem, and
Hmm.
but like that's just not what's going on with me. So the fact that you said it made me that much more, um, yeah, sure.
Definitely, man. I've spoken about this before. I mean, for people watching the video for the first time who haven't heard my story, I was in a very similar situation to you when I decided to like figure this out for myself. I had a really nice gig like straight out of college. I was living in a buzzing, city with a ton of young people. I was going out, good social life, good money, good like everything, and I still found myself like saying, "F it, I just want to play World of Warcraft." And it was like Groundhog Day on and off. Despite isn't I had reached that like promised land because you think to yourself, especially, and we've talked about this a bit, how especially since you're a fresh grad, and
hmm
I found something that you mentioned that I really related to was that idea of when you mess up or go off the rails in high school or in college, you always have something to look forward to, some like next chapter, right? Where it's like, oh, well, I can still go to college and figure this out, or I can still get
Yeah,
my first job and figure this out. But then you become like an adult in the real world work, and you're like, fuck, I'm here now, and there's no like next thing to kind of wipe the slate clean with unless I give it to myself now, right?
yeah,
I found myself in that position of uh, I reached the promised land because you think to yourself, when I'm quote successful, when I have all the things that I thought would make me happy, whatever, like this problem's gonna go away. I'm only playing video games because I'm bored or distracted or whatever, and then
yeah, yeah,
it doesn't, and you're like, holy shit, this might be the rest of my life.
yeah, yeah,
So I'm really glad you shared that. Thanks.
yeah, yeah. I had to. All right, but
Okay.
so then, onboarding happened. Who sent me the doc, and then I filled it out, and then after that, we like went over it. That was the
Mm-hmm.
onboarding process, yeah. Um, you read through it, and I remember you're like, okay, this all makes a lot of sense. You called me out on a lot of like the way I wrote things,
Mm.
and like I understand what you mean now in the sense where like when you write things or when you say things, like that's just kind of how you perceive things. So if you're
Mm.
writing that way, then you're low key thinking that way. And
Yeah. What do you mean on the?
yeah,
So I called you out on the way that you wrote things. So like I picked up on, I guess, beliefs or just aspects of your worldview that kind of reveal themselves through the way that you filled out the doc, or
mm-hmm,
you
mm-hmm,
know.
yeah, like so the questions on the doc are kind of like how do you perceive yourself?
Mm.
Where do you want to be? What do you want to do?
Stuff about your
Like
past.
yeah, like what happened in your past, like if you could fix yourself or something along the
Hmm.
lines, and so like got me writing this happened in my past, and like yeah, like my dad and this and yeah, like I've perceived myself this way, and honestly, like all I want to do is just like chill out and just be done with it all.
Mm.
And then you picked it apart, and I think the biggest thing that resonated there was like you brought up narrative. That one was huge. You're like keep an open mind, but like let's reframe the narrative, okay? Like
Mm.
these are things that you identify yourself with, like the fact that you were done dirty by your family
Yeah.
with like the divorce and everything like that, and now you just like kind of feel sorry for yourself. Like the way that you talk about it, it's like you kind of you didn't say this, but like I kind of sounded like I don't know, like a dog, or not like a dog that like has a wound that like
Yeah.
never really healed right. So
Mm.
like every time like I use that limb, it's like it I
It
yelp a little
hurts.
bit, like it
Yeah.
hurts, yeah. And like I wasn't over it, or not over it, but like I wasn't like I was still yelping about it like so long after, to the point where like it was on the dock, and it
Mm-hmm.
was like it was like in a vindictive way.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
I'm
You.
yeah.
To me, it was like you still hadn't let go of a lot, and
Hmm.
clearly there's a lot of repressed rage and anger you're going to talk about. Um,
Hmm.
Still kind of living out of spitefulness and vindictiveness towards these things or these people that had happened to you, and that plays into, I think, a really self disempowering, victim mindset that you were in, that largely drove like the avoidance and the escapist behavior through video games or through weed or through anything else. um, so that was definitely a huge kind of foundational part of us, of the work that we did, was just getting you to kind of pick yourself up again and stop feeling sorry for yourself, because it's kind of impossible to do anything if you're still, woe is me.
Yeah, I'm a
Professionally, you're
creative.
a creative. Yeah.
I'm a creative. I'm
Um,
a in-house graphic designer,
yeah.
and I have like a couple of things I do on the side as well.
Right.
I'm the marketing lead for a local magazine,
Yeah.
as well as I'll plug it,
Well, I
Taro
mean,
Mag.
yeah, I only brought that up to to mention that, like, I recall that you were pretty disconnected from like what you actually wanted to do, and what you
Yeah,
cared about, what inspired you, all of
yeah,
that, bit of a creative
yeah.
rut. And so, yeah, I'm curious to hear a bit about how like this stuff that we did, reframing the narrative on your life, mending all that
Mm-hmm,
stuff in the past, like getting you into an empowered place, how we kind of integrated that in a way that got you like results in these
mm-hmm,
different areas of your life, and
mm-hmm.
from your creativity and your inspiration to like your actual jobs to your relationship,
Yeah,
how
yeah, yeah.
like it wasn't just us singing Kumbaya and making and asking how you feel, kind of like how you described therapy earlier, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. We did actually for one. I'm just kidding. Yeah. It's like it. How I would describe it, it's like really big. Or you described it once like this, where like it's like you learn your bread and butter, and then you just like apply it to everything.
Hmm.
But before we started applying and like trying to achieve results,
Hmm.
we did go through this like first chapter. Uh, if like introductory and everything was the prologue, this was like the first chapter where like you were telling me like you got to be able to do nothing, man. Like like you think about it, like you've been on Reddit, TikTok, YouTube, like you're consuming hella media. Your brain, you're not
Constantly.
gonna be, yeah, constantly. You're not gonna be able to just like start going crazy and like fixing your life. Like no, your brain's gonna like crave. Your brain's gonna want to like get that fix. So just like do nothing. Just practice being aware of your emotions, and like let go of that, you know. And that's gonna
Hmm.
be your bread and butter. And like I think we did that for like a week and a half, maybe like two. But I mean, shit, I needed that. It was good because if we were gonna like jump straight into like finding my flow and
Hmm.
like like finding out like what works for me and turning my life around, like I was just gonna relapse in like 2 weeks, 100%.
Yeah, building that awareness and kind of getting your focus and your attention back, definitely
Yeah,
step one.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and primarily too, just that you have the faculties to notice the stuff that all the results like actually come from. You know,
hmm,
like if
hmm,
I need to start honing your attention to pick up on these subtle patterns in your relationship dynamics or the way that you approach work, why you feel a type of way about like someone that happened, why
hmm,
you're feeling a type of way about anything,
hmm.
and what it's trying to tell you, so we can get to the bottom of it and
Yeah,
and grow from it, right?
exactly. And so I mentioned that to kind of answer your question because it ended up becoming like the foundation for like how we did everything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Retaining that like focus. Uh, so
Being able to see the stuff that you couldn't see before.
yeah, exactly. Cultivating my thoughts once again, so I could see everything with like a clear eye, and
Mm-hmm.
something like this as the foundation. I mean, it bled into like everything. Of course, increased focus, better sleep. Like, of
Yeah.
course, I'm going to be better at work. Of course, I'm going to have a better control over my emotions. Like, of course, I'm going to feel like a lot more energetic and motivated. Like,
Yeah.
that became like the foundation of it. And then it's like, now we can get to work. Um, so already off the bat, like we had like a really important lesson with that, uh, and then at that point it was like uh, learning it over and over again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like even though it's like, oh, you learn this, it's not like we can exactly move on to the next thing, or maybe if we do, we still have this in mind to like keep going over again
Yeah.
because, like you said, uh,
It's like take the bread and butter simple principles and
yeah,
apply them over and over again to these
hmm,
new situations in your life that kind of show you how they work.
yeah, yeah,
And part of this was also what we tapered you off weed, right? We tapered you off the Adderall.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so you not only kind of went cold turkey on like scrolling and just over like mindless consumption, but also like you took yourself off what you thought was necessary in order to like focus and have an attention span on the stuff that mattered and like your way to wind down, so to speak. And we did all of this at once while doing this kind of awareness building process over the first few weeks. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how was that? Because I'm sure, I don't know, like that's a lot to do within
Yeah,
like a month,
yeah.
let alone a few weeks. And it's not for the faint of heart. I remember like it was. it got pretty rough here and there, but that's to be expected,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. We had a couple of rough conversations. Like, I was really prepared, to like give up the social media, give up the weed and stuff. That's like stuff I'm like willing to let go of.
Yeah.
The rough part was definitely like the Adderall because I thought I needed that. I really
Thought
did.
past tense.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Now I know
How's
how
it
to manage it
now?
down. It's a lot better. I haven't thrown it away. Like some days, like I'll take it. Like if it's like, oh my God, like I really need to clutch up right now. But
Hmm.
oh my God, like it's so much. Like the way I use it is like night and day.
We're
It's
not
like,
relying on it,
yeah,
popping it
not
every
relying.
day.
It's not like my lifeline. Like back then, it's like, oh my God, if I don't use my Adderall, like I'm literally cooked. Like I can't do anything for the whole day. Like, but now
Right.
it's like, oh, like do I need to like do extraneous amounts of work in one day? Like, okay,
Sure.
fine, but that's like once every couple months.
Much,
Um,
that's much healthier. Once every couple of
much
months.
healthier. Yeah,
Yeah, kind of like a DEFCON 5 angle, and it's
yeah.
prescription too, like from a doctor, well,
Hmm.
obviously.
Hmm.
That's really good to hear that like you learn how to just focus and muster your willpower without having it, you know. And a lot of people with ADHD, people who think about ADHD, a lot of people unfortunately think that it is a necessity, right? Uh, you need to pop it every day, or else like your brain's gonna be all over the place. You'll never get anything done. You'll be miserable. How do you? I'm curious to hear as well about like the clarity and the brain fog, kind of before versus after.
Mm, yeah. Actually, I have a good example of this.
Mm.
I remember when I was like kind of how I was before meeting you. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I took mental note of this one specific day where I was like walking to my car to go to work. It was like 5 minute walk, so I had time to like annotate or whatever. Or even when I was showering, I would try to speak aloud,
Mm.
communicate with myself, commune with my thoughts. And I kid you not, I sounded like incoherent. Like I could not monologue because I would get like my thoughts would interrupt me, or I would backtrack, or something like that. Like in my opinion, that's what I believe brain fog to be.
Yeah.
I couldn't, like everything was fuzzy, like low opacity, words like leaving my head. Like I try to formulate a sentence, I'll try to think about something, and it just goes. And like now that I'm here now, I can also recognize like there was kind of like this blanket of like almost like a weight in my head, kind of
Mm.
like if a clear head was like feeling like here, I felt like there was like a little bit something like pressing down here. Like I didn't. I swear to God,
Yeah.
I felt like my brain felt like compressed a little bit. You know what
Uh,
I'm saying? Like that's how I felt
Bunched.
with like brain fog and cortisol and whatnot.
Affect your creativity too.
Yeah, like I would just sit at my computer and I would just look and be like, oh, I should go here. I'm just like clicking around. I'm just moving stuff or like doing stuff that I've done before. So like I was
Mm.
just never like satisfied with it either. Like nothing, nothing like that came from my fingertips I was happy with. Like it didn't. Nothing felt fresh. Nothing
Gotcha.
felt fresh. Yeah.
Okay. So then, what were the biggest ROI things that we worked on after
Hmm.
the awareness cultivation
Hmm.
uh, that you took away?
Yeah. Uh, I think it was definitely accountability. You helping me like walk through like some of these practices. For example, like journaling. Journaling still really good. I try to do it like maybe every other day now,
Well,
but
you can do that by yourself without
oh
needing a
yeah,
program
100%.
for it.
But like
Like what?
but before
Yeah.
I'm saying like the accountability
Mm.
was like the biggest thing, cuz like a lot of these answers honestly like they're online, like sometimes like some of these things that you've like taught me is like you can find them online, but the difference is that like you're there, and it's like because it's one thing. One of the cool lessons or ROI things was like finding your flow, and like
Hmm.
setting up like a ritual to like kind of frame or wire your brain to get into that flow state, and how to like perfect it, and how to like have it consistent, have build that ritual into like a routine. So then, your time allotted, there's
Yeah.
it's more efficient and more productive. Um, like I've seen that online, but you're there to like help me walk me through it, and
Explain
that
how to implement it, I guess,
yeah,
instead of it
explain how
just
to
being a fun
implement it.
idea that you read once.
Yeah, yes, because like literally, because one of the days you like it's like okay, what's your like hour to hour schedule, and then like you help me implement that routine like right in. It's like okay, right after work, you know,
I remember that.
right after work, take that shower or make
Yeah.
some rice, like make
Yeah.
some rice, and then shower, and then like light a damn candle, like smell that shit, like just try it out. And I'm like oh, like
Uh-huh.
and I don't know if I should be clear. It does make a difference, I swear to God. Like something about like kind of taking your brain into like a different space, When you smell
Hmm.
something different, you're in a different space. It
Totally.
helps you feel a little bit closer to not being at home. So just to clarify. Um
Thank you.
yeah.
So you mentioned rituals. I mean, that's one of the aspects of kind of approaching life like a video game that
Hmm.
we
Mm,
implemented, similar
hmm.
to the way that you hit the same login screen every day, and you're building
Hmm.
emotional associations with that kind of snap you back into the same state.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
I want to hear more about that idea, which is kind of the mission of like the coaching in the first place, which is get the
Mm,
same fulfillment, joy, excitement, etc., that you get from video games in your real life, like through your real life mission, your real life purpose.
hmm.
How do you feel like we did on that metric, and maybe talk a bit about what exactly we did or how we carried out that that transition for you?
Yeah. So you first proposed it like this, where it's like uh life is, if you frame it a certain way, like life is pretty much like a video game in the way where you can like go chase after the things that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we broke down why we liked video games so much, and why it was so addicting, and it we came to the conclusion that like it's just easy to chase. Like it's really easy to
Right.
achieve like greatness in that sense. Like if you're Challenger, shit, you're cool. Like you're good. That's like
Yeah.
I don't know, being an aerospace engineer at NASA. Like you
Being
get the same
a
dopamine
dope
or
ass creative, yeah.
yeah, and
you
it's
know
like, but at the end of the day, it's a character, it's an account. Like
yeah, but
internet goes
like
down, what do you do?
that's kind of an idea that most people can wrap their heads around. I'm curious to
Yeah.
hear about what specifically we did. I guess to your point, some of it was getting to the root causes as to why you specifically play video games, i.e., like
Mm-hmm.
what you were missing from your life
Yeah,
or what you
yeah.
were struggling to get in your life that you could simulate or replicate with video games,
Mm,
and again, this idea of just approach life like a video game, like it's pretty simple and most people have heard it once or twice, but
yeah,
what
definitely.
what was holding you back from doing that, like truly doing it consistently, that we kind of addressed?
Specifically, right, for me, I think it was like a little bit of that competitive edge. It was like taking like life a little bit more seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I like to play like competitive games. Like you guys heard that earlier, and I guess I didn't feel like that competitive like in real life. Like I
Like
felt
fire.
I didn't have that fire, and I guess that kind of attributes to like the repressed anger. Like
Mm.
for one, I didn't go to school for graphic design, and then I got a full time job in it, and now I have imposter syndrome. I didn't really think I kind of deserved it. I didn't think, like, in my career, I didn't feel competitive, and I didn't get that edge that like I kind of like in
You
my
couldn't summon
career.
that same like aggressive, healthy aggressive fire,
Yeah,
willpower,
yeah,
intent.
yeah, and something
Well,
that takes
mhm.
over like 8 hours of my day. you know?
Yeah. Why was that? Like, why couldn't we talk? We mentioned repressed anger a ton of times before,
Hmm.
but like, why was it that you couldn't muster that same agency, that oomph, that like I want to go out and get it in your real life? And so video games became like the safe place to do that.
I didn't believe in myself, you know?
Hmm.
I didn't at all. Imposter syndrome. I also didn't know how to express my emotions, my anger a lot. Obviously, like,
Yeah.
taking it out on other people is bad. Like, I knew that, but I had to
Right.
like bottle that kind of stuff like at a young age.
Like exactly. Talk exactly. We're getting there.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that anger that you can tap into in like a healthy way,
Hmm.
because of your upbringing, for
Mm,
example, because of having to be an emotional caretaker to adults, having to like repress that anger because you couldn't show it without getting kind of cracked down on, and
yeah.
that that playing into like the passive aggression and stuff.
Hmm. Yeah. So I guess a little bit of context, right? I am like the only male in my house, single mom type
Hmm.
shit. Um, and yeah, any form of like masculinity, it wasn't like frowned upon, but like it was seen as like a little bit more aggressive than it actually was, you know?
Sure.
And like no one, I didn't, so I couldn't like really, I didn't want to be like angry because that like felt very like masculine and a little bit like too, I feel like I felt like it would rock the house a lot. So I guess
It
growing
wouldn't
up,
be
I,
met with the best reception.
yeah, not at all. Like I wouldn't be understood. It'd just be like, like calm your voice,
Yeah.
pipe down,
Yeah.
and they're just, I mean, my sisters and their mom, like, and my mom, they're they're doing what they know, and yeah, no fault
Yeah.
to them. But tangent. Uh, so yeah, I at a very young age I learned how to like bottle up my emotions, specifically anger, and yeah, I guess I didn't know how to like express it. I didn't even. Oh, it was crazy because I didn't even know like how to feel it. Like I
I
remember
remember that.
describing you, yeah, one night where I was like, dude, I literally, I think the reason why like I get passive aggressive is because like I don't know if I'm mad or not. I don't know if I'm angry or not until like
Yeah.
way later. And like
Yeah.
in that state, I'm like trying to convince myself to like not be mad. And then you pointed out, I was like, that's, you're trying to convince yourself to not be mad because you're mad. Like you're mad in that moment, and like you gotta
Yeah.
accept it. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
But also learn how to channel it.
It's this trope that I've kind of woken up to. I need to again make more content on this, but look, I came from a single mother household. You came from a single mother household. The majority, if not all, of the men that I've worked with so far, funnily enough, have come from single mother households or households with like very, mother hen, devouring almost sometimes mothers in their upbringing that like stifled that willpower, that flame in them from a young age, like policed it into oblivion, and so they wake up or they grow up and they don't know how to tap into it in a healthy way, which leads to passive aggression, which leads to like the same relationship dynamics playing out. I'm telling you, it's crazy across all these dudes, myself included. Obviously, I'm like
Yeah,
patient number one, guinea pig.
yeah,
Um, and then it's hard to not feel apathetic in life, and when because you're so like you just don't know how to do that and face confrontation, and then you play video games, and it feels like a safe place in which you can summon your competitiveness, your fucking fire, your drive,
hmm,
right? But then it's like night and day difference.
yeah,
So that was really like the missing puzzle piece in my eyes.
hmm, yeah, yeah. That was a huge game changer. Like
Right.
I kid you not, man. Like I felt like I had like a pool of energy that like I was just never using.
Well, that's literally what it is.
That's yeah, that's literally what it is.
When you shut off that part of yourself, first of all, yeah, you lose access to all that energy. It goes into your shadow, so to speak. And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
when it does come out, because you're not honoring it, you don't know how to use it, it comes out in the nastiest, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type of way, it blows up in things like your relationships, and then you're
yeah,
you're there in the aftermath, like what the heck just happened? And then you feel
yeah.
guilty and shameful about it, and it becomes this vicious cycle. And it's
Hmm.
cool how like I want to hear too about how once we were able to I guess get you to like accept that part of yourself and tap back into it and work on integrating it in a healthy way. How, you know, on the on the contrary of you now being more angry all the time and blown up or being passive aggressive and then it, like exploding somehow, like things really smoothed out
Yeah,
everywhere. And you got that energy back. Like talk to us about that.
yeah. It was a win-win-win, honestly. Like the moment like I started, or the moment I realized like the what this all could do for me, like it was like everything kind of just made more sense. Cause like
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one being in my like relationship, a big issue that I had in this relationship was that like I was getting passive aggressive. I'd have problems with things in the relationship where I know I shouldn't have. Um, and then now with that skill, I'm like, first of all, now when I'm angry, I know how to communicate that a lot better to her.
Mm-hmm.
So, boom, no more bombs. And then also like if I ever like get myself feeling in like this self-pity way, like oh, like I'm feeling some type of way. Like I also now have like a another tool in my backpack where I get like or I get angry not at myself, but like I get angry for myself. You
Right.
you
Use it
you
as like
you
a
made that
ladder.
distinction. Yeah, you
Yeah.
made that as a distinction. And you know, that kind of helps me, yeah, get out of that rut, get out of that hole. And then like I started applying it to literally everything else, like work. It's like
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm so like I don't feel good about it. Like this design, like this, is like come on, like
Yeah.
I shouldn't be here right now. Like I should be done. I should be chilling. I should be moving on to the next thing. Like come on, like let's go.
Yeah.
And then like I moved past it.
You're back to
Side gigs
winning,
as well.
like feeling
Yeah,
confident. Yeah,
yeah.
because you work multiple things. I don't know if you articulated that earlier, like
Mhm,
job, other job slash project,
mhm.
and you're
Yeah,
doing all that now without the Adderall every day, like you said, like once every 2 months maybe. And I mean, I don't know. I find that pretty startling.
yeah. No, yeah. I can't articulate it too well because like I'm the one doing it, but
Uh-huh.
I guess it's I guess I'm reminded about it when I tell people like what I do because then they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Uh,
you don't even
I
realize it sometimes.
yeah, like uh, I mean I have a full-time job and then I also am marketing lead for a magazine company as well as a startup shoe company.
It's
So
three things.
three things, yeah. I mean it's like four meetings, some homework,
Yeah.
but yeah, I guess it feels like a lot sometimes,
Well,
but
yeah, but the fact that you're juggling all that stuff and you have more energy than like you ever had, and you're doing it all without medication, and you're no
mhm.
longer having to like decompress with the weed, and the relationship's going better. Like it's pretty remarkable to me.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I mean that's the course,
The
it's
coaching.
the it's the
I'm gonna
coaching.
be I'm
It's
being nitpicky here because we don't actually have a course. Like I didn't take you through
oh
videos
yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff, right?
I've
Yeah,
just been using it interchange. Yeah, okay,
I know
coaching.
what you
Yeah,
mean. I
yeah,
know what you
yeah,
mean.
yeah. Gotcha.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, bread and butters, toolkit, and then everything's interconnected. Once it clicks, once it works for one thing, like you can apply it somewhere else.
Anything else you want to share? I mean, overall, worth it? Not worth it? Where do you think you'd be if you didn't jump in? Don't want to think about it? I mean, anything else
Jump
that's on
in.
your heart?
Oh, I mean, it was more than worth it. Um,
Yeah.
it's more than worth it. Like, you should raise your prices, dude.
Oh, so you think it was a bargain?
It was quite the bargain, especially like the quality. The quality, like you know, the for what it was, like on paper, I was like, okay, this makes sense. This makes sense. But then like, the course went on, and like your attitude towards like this coaching, like it's way more than what I paid for.
Thank you, man. I'm
Like
really glad to hear
it's
that.
yeah,
Because you did say a lot of this stuff was available online. I mean,
yeah, yeah. A lot
what
of
do
this
you?
stuff is online,
Okay.
and but like
So what
like
makes
oh
this worth it?
no,
Like, why even bother then if it's all online?
it's because like you're doing it, like you're with me.
Yeah.
You're with me here. It's not just like oh like do 10,000 push-ups. It's just like, and then talk to me.
Sure.
It's just like you're here for me. Like I could text. I know we didn't like text much, but like I knew I could text you. I knew I could call you. I
Mhm.
knew I could share these things with
Like,
you.
so summarize for me then, life now, how
Life
things
now.
are going in your own words, and like what's next, and like how you think, I don't know, like how confident you feel you are to continue what we've done once we
Yeah.
wrap up here.
I mean, yeah. Like I'm about to go hop on my yacht. Like no, I'm kidding. Life now. Kind of like uh, life now. It's a lot more quiet, I'd say. Like not in the sense where it's like, oh, like I've forsaken all my friends and like I'm like Sigma Grant, but
In a
like it's
boring way?
in like a boring way, in like a nice boring way.
In
Like
a
I
boring way,
know,
really? Is that
oh,
is it like,
not like a
well,
boring
I
way,
don't
but like
know.
how
You
some
tell me.
sorry, how some people might say it's a boring way. It's just like it's consistent. You know what I'm saying? Um, like it's like I know what to do. I know how to do it. I know I can do it, so I'm gonna do it. There's no like trials and tribulations. It's just like I have a handle over my life now. It's like
You know how
plain
to
simple as that. Yeah,
surmount the hurdles when they come up. You
yeah.
have, excuse me. Whew. You have like a record of wins now that you can look back on too,
Mm-hmm. It's just like,
for how you've solved stuff before.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm finally looking at life like pretty clearly now.
Mhm.
It's not like a maze anymore, you know? It's not like a
Not like a maze
puzzle.
anymore.
It's just like it's just up.
And I know you said that it's a bit more quiet and boring, but like in a good way. It's more consistent, like you said. I mean, does it feel more exciting or invigorating at all? More thrilling in your creative life, or like in the fact that you kind of know where you're going and what you're doing, and you have like something to aim for? You feel empowered to accomplish it. Does it feel a bit more,
Oh,
good in
yeah,
that
yeah.
way, or
No, 100% that. Like if I guess it really depends on how you define it, right? But yes, that part is also also what I said was boring too. But like because it's like it's this, right? I mean, it's a little bit like this, but like it's generally like this,
Hmm.
and it's exciting because it's like, oh, like what am I gonna do? Like I'm at this age, like I can really pop off, and I'm going to, and whatnot.
Fuck yeah.
And having that, knowing that I'm like moving in that direction, it's like it's just I don't know, very optimistic. It's very nice.
Hmm.
It's like yeah, just it feels like I feel like I'm actually I can't even say. You know what's crazy?
What?
I was gonna say like I feel like I'm back,
Haha.
but to be honest, like I don't know if I was ever like I don't know if I was like ever there. I mean, I just told you like I've been playing games since I was like 3. Like
Hmm. I
yeah, it's crazy.
I get
Like
the sentiment. Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like I'm finally like living up to the potential that like people have said about me and stuff. Like I feel like I'm finally like the gap is closing.
I think I like abandoned myself in a sense,
Hmm.
like coming home from work, like I'm tired. I don't want to do anything right now.
Hmm.
Like I don't even want to cook, Like I don't even want to I don't give a fuck. Like I can just starve for all I care. It's just I don't want to do it right now.
Hmm.
And it's like it's like I don't it's like I never even it's like I don't have memory of the things that I like feel so passionately about, I feel so far away from I feel so like coming home from work or like my neutral state, I feel very far away from who I actually am or want to
The
be.
gap is closing. The gap is
Hmm.
closing. Yeah.
That you've always known about yourself. I think here's my stab at what you just said,
Yeah.
or my
Yeah.
take on it. When you say, it feels like I've been back, but to be fair, I don't know if I've ever been there to begin with. Well, to me, being back is just, I feel like who I actually am. I feel like myself again. Because, like, it's really just about getting rid of all the gunk and the bullshit that's on top. You know, when you were a child, you knew who you were, you knew exactly what you wanted to do. To some extent, I'm an astronaut, whatever, you know, but you get what I mean. Like you're in that state of wonder and just like being in tune with yourself authentically, and there's no bullshit kind of crowding it up until it happens, you know, through life. And so I know what you mean when you say I feel like I'm back. It's like, yeah, I feel like I'm being who I'm supposed to be, who I was meant to be, like
Yeah,
who I was
yeah,
born to be,
yeah.
right? And that's a lot. That's the best feeling in the world. It's priceless, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
You could have all the money and all the things and whatever, but like if to your point, I guess to our point earlier about yeah, you could have the job and the girlfriend and all that stuff, but like if you're not tapped into who you actually are and you're not living in an exciting like way on your purpose, you know,
Mm-hmm.
connected to that thing in your heart, it's
It's
empty.
floating. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's empty. Yeah,
Fuck yeah,
yeah.
dude.
That's
So
that's life now.
that's amazing.
Yeah,
And relationship things are good.
so good, so good.
I love to hear that.
Yeah, like it's like I'm not saying that like it's like it's it's only up from here. Like, and I'm like set, and it's like it's
It's never
money.
going to be.
It's never going to be, but
That's
like
not the point, right?
that's what the yeah, that's what the coaching taught me is like now I have the tools for when anything is thrown my way, and even if my life turns upside down, like I know how to like accept it and move through it, and with the proper channels. I'm not like it's like nothing. It's not like nothing's bad is ever gonna happen to me again. No, it's like
You're not helpless.
I'm not helpless anymore. Like I know how to like move now. I can,
Yeah,
yeah.
you'll figure it
That's
out.
yeah, yeah.
Amazing, dude. Well, any last words, last thoughts, message that you want to leave as we wrap up here? Question, if you have a question for me too. So, you know,
Mm, do you think we can go over that doc sometime? Uh,
again,
yeah, just to like look at it for memories.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
we can do that
that'd be funny.
for
That'd be
sure.
funny.
Let's see how far you've come. All right, man. Well, here we are. It's a long time ago. I'll smoke or drink to feel something.
Just a
Yeah.
imagine kind
Funny enough, I feel like I'm more likely to get my stuff done when I'm on substances. It's not a thing anymore.
no.
This is interesting because I feel like you're literally living this right now.
Yeah. Excited. Very, yeah. Um, yeah. Very imaginative. Yeah. Yeah. Nice. Nice. Yeah. It really is. That's why, man, I really think you're doing real work, dude. Like,
Thank you, bro. I want to show you something else.
no. It's like I don't have memory of the things that I like feel so passionately about. I feel so far away from. I feel so like
That was
coming
a
home from
big
work or
phrase.
like my neutral state. I feel very far away from who I actually am or want to.
I forgot to mention that. That was another thing that really stood out for me on this call was you said you felt really far away from yourself, which is interesting because then on the call that we just recorded, you were like, I feel like I'm back. I feel like myself again. Just super powerful.
Damn, that like kind of hit. Like the way I said it and stuff. Like I really, wow. Like I see what you mean though. Like the sense of pride and stuff. Like I appreciate myself for doing this now because it's like I didn't know like there was just no way I would have been like this honest and like this honest with someone I just met and had the humility or to take that leap. I don't know. Like wow. Like I was in that state, yeah, for sure, but like I'm glad I admitted it. Like
Hmm.
damn.
Yeah, that's powerful shit, dude. You see what I mean? How like you look back and you're like, damn, you fucking did it, you know? It's pretty cool. It's one of the coolest feelings. How's it feel?
Satisfying. Feel like him right now.
Fuck yeah.
Feel like him right now. I feel there's like an edit. There's like an edit of myself in my head.
That's amazing. You got a highlight reel playing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing.
Ah, yeah. It's only been like 5 months.
Fuck, dude, 5 months is an eternity.
Yeah, dude, I can't imagine like where I'd be without this. Like, I don't know. I wonder if I'd still be thinking the same or something like that. I don't know, but I guess we'll never know.
It's like that Kanye. I don't know if you see the speech of
Yeah, yeah.
Kanye getting his Oscar or whatever, his Grammy. He's
Yeah.
like, everyone wants to know, everybody wants to know what I would do if I didn't win. I guess we'll never know.
That's exactly, yeah. It doesn't really matter. And yeah, like now that I'm thinking about like the stuff that I said before a little bit more, like with a little bit more breadth, like I don't really not associate, but like I don't really draw from, my pains anymore.
hmm
Like that really is that it, a lot of the stuff that like we talked about doing, like it actually got done. I think that's so crazy.
Yeah.
I think I'm so used to like 3 steps forward, two and a half steps back. Like, you know, I felt like I took 3 steps forward again and again and again with
Yeah.
only a couple steps back. Uh,
100%.
I think that's like crazy to see in retrospect.
Yeah, the fact that we just went over the doc and you wrote out like what you wanted, where you wanted to be, and you're basically living it to a letter, pretty fucking powerful.